Hi everybody, and welcome again to an edition of our Save the Day cooking class. Today we are going to be doing our Christmas cooking demo, and I hope if you've joined us for our Thanksgiving cooking demo last month, that you're joining us again, and welcome to those who are joining us for the first time. My name is Chef Adrian Alvey. I spent 14 years as a chef, a baker, a cake decorator, and spent a lot of time and most of my life, in fact, studying food. And I want to explain a little bit about Save the Day seasonings and sweetenings in case you don't know a lot about what we do. We've had the seasonings for about 3 years now, or a little bit more, and you can use any of our seasonings on any food. Doesn't matter how you cook it and what food it is. We have 18 different seasoning blends, and we have a lot of really popular ones. I'll be talking a little bit more about those as we go on. And our sweetenings is something we just came out with last month. We have a universal baking mix. And normally you would have to go to the store and buy one mix for cake, one for cookies, one for brownies, one for muffins. Our universal baking mix, we're up to I think 20 different things you can make at least with our universal baking mix. All those things plus pancakes, waffles, cobblers, and so many other things. And you can use our sweetenings to flavor those things, but the sweetenings do things on their own as well. And we're going to show you a few things that you can do with our sweetenings tonight. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, we're going to talk about Christmas dinner. And so what is Christmas dinner? Well, that's going to mean something different for every family, depending on what your traditions are, what your favorite foods are, and what Christmas means to you. And so I'm going to kind of try to have a large variety of dishes that we talk about tonight. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the app, the recipe app, that we're going to have a link to that you can put on your phone, and that's going to be on the group page. And in that app is going to show you all the recipes that we prepared for tonight's demo. And so there are probably 26 recipes on here that we're going to be talking about. A lot of them are desserts, a lot of them are side dishes, or bread, or dinner, main dishes. So first of all, we're going to be talking, we'll just make sure I didn't miss something here. I was thinking about how Christmas is different for everybody. We all have our sort of traditions that we do for Christmas, and our family's no different. We have the certain things that we really like to do. So share throughout the evening those things that you like to do for your Christmas. If we don't mention that, we would love to hear what you like to do for Christmas. And I would love to make a recipe for that sometime. We have a question?
Well, I was just going to say, someone already chimed in. Kelsey Blakely says she loves pizza on Christmas Eve and breakfast quiche every Christmas morning. So thanks for sharing.
Breakfast quiche is actually something we're going to have a recipe for in the short time. I hope so, because quiche is right up there. A really, really good breakfast item for Christmas. We're going to talk about sticky rolls today is one of the things, and that's a good thing for our Christmas breakfast we like to do, or a variation of that. Let's talk a little bit about the menu we're going to have for today. A lot of things, and so we're going to be demoing, just like last time, we're going to be demoing some things I already have done, and some things I'm going to kind of be talking about because they were used at the last Thanksgiving, but they might also have some crossover value for Christmas, like mashed potatoes, and some of our desserts as well. And anything that we're borrowing from Thanksgiving dinner is also going to be added on our Christmas cooking demo recipes card or document. All right, so we're going to have as our main course glazed ham tonight, and that's what we're going to be demoing. But we're also going to be talking about having prime rib with au jus and roast beef with gravy if you want to have any of those for Christmas dinner. Glazed carrots we'll be demoing, and we're going to talk a little bit about mashed potatoes, because a lot of people have mashed potatoes for Christmas, and we do have that from Thanksgiving. Strong arm roasted sweet potatoes, and that's one thing is new for Christmas dinner for us is the strong arm roasted sweet potatoes. And I'm going to talk also about the roasted vegetables that we talked about at Thanksgiving. That's another really good side dish. And seasoned popcorn is something that's a really good, we're going to do some treats as well, things that you can hand out to your neighbors and friends throughout the course of the Christmas season, and also be able to have them Christmas dessert as well. Breadsticks with Italian butter. We've got some breadsticks in here. They're right here and just about ready to go in the oven. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and put these in. So these are breadsticks. I'm going to tell you a little bit about these. So they're going to go right in, and it's in fact I got to actually raise the oven to 350, and there it goes. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in. And on the Christmas recipe sheet, The breadstick recipe, they have a couple of variations. It says you can just use store-bought breadsticks if you want, and the kind that you just throw in the oven and kind of brown and serve if you want. That's really, really on the easiest level. Next level up would be taking like a frozen bread dough, such as a Rhodes Rolls, and you can just thaw that, and then you can just roll it out and stretch it, and you can make really, really nice breadsticks. And that's actually what we've done tonight. It's a really easy, but it's not quite it's quite store-bought, because you still get to bake it yourself. And then we've also provided here a really, really good bread machine recipe for breadsticks that you can use, and that's from scratch. So if you really like to make your own, you can do that, or you can use that recipe on, or the Italian butter is really what what uses our seasonings, and so you can use that on any roll of any kind, really. But we're doing the breadsticks tonight, and so while those are in the oven, what I want to do is talk a little bit about the meats. Okay. So if we come over here, and what we've done with the ham, and I'm going to give some tips and some tricks about ham, about prime rib, and about roast beef. With ham, what's the biggest problem is having it too dry or being overcooked, and that's kind of the problem with most of them. With roast beef, another problem is having it too tough. How do we get it tender every time? And with prime rib, overcooking is a problem. Make sure you have a meat thermometer on hand, because I'll talk about prime rib and how to have perfect prime rib. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the ham. So when we do that, when I cook this at 325, simply put it in a roasting pan of any kind, and this one it's twisted to the side there. And you can use any ham, and on the recipe card we have a chart based on your size of ham and type of ham. There's bone in, there's bone out, and there's half ham, there's whole ham, about how long it takes per minute to cook. So this is a half ham, and it could be any sort of a shank cut, butt cut, whatever, and it'll be about the same amount of time, regardless of the cut. And so I just baked that, and that ended up being about 18 minutes pound on this one. And so put it in covered, and that'll keep the moisture in. So don't. A lot of ham recipes out there have you bake it uncovered. You can do that, but it traps in the moisture much, much better if you use either the lid or the foil. And when you bake that, after it's about 3/4 done, then you put the glaze on, okay? And then you can put the glaze on and bake it uncovered for the last quarter of the time. And that way it gets that glaze a chance then to get on that ham. And even afterwards, I've just slapped a little glaze right on the top from scooping it up from the drippings there. So we end up with a lot of drippings. That's going to end up sitting for about 15 minutes before you end up serving it. And that's the ham. So let's talk a little bit, and feel free, ask questions, guys. And all the recipes are right here. I try to be as articulate as I can on the recipes so that as mistake-free as possible.
Question, which is better for ham, shank or butt?
Shank or butt, to me, I honestly don't even care. Ham is ham to me. That's just me. A lot of people have stronger preferences towards one or the other, but to me, like I said, it almost doesn't matter what the cut is. I just buy whatever's cheapest. And then it's the glaze that really gives it that nice flavor. And then, of course, there are better cuts in ham, like the shank. It's probably going to have more meat per fat ratio. But at the same time, to me, I just like the flavor of ham regardless of the cut. It almost tastes the same to me. And so that's a personal preference, though. Good question. Prime rib is another thing that I think a lot of people like to do for Christmas. It's a special cut. You might spend a little bit more for your Christmas dinner than you might for another dinner. And prime rib is a popular choice. With prime rib, you start off with the oven really, really hot, all right? And then you kind of roast it really, really hot. And you do the similar thing for roast beef, but you do it on a frying pan.
Like how hot?
Like 500 degrees hot.
Okay.
500 degrees hot, yeah. And then you put it in the roasting pan with the fat side up, okay? And then the fat will just go right into the meat as it's cooking.
Do you cover it?
Yeah, I'm gonna get to that here. It's actually, you're gonna rub it first with the Alvy's Incredible. And that's what we love on the prime rib is Alvy's Incredible. You can use any other of the seasonings. Some people like the strong arm or even the Jamaican or Cajun on the prime rib. And you're going to, you bake that uncovered for about 20 minutes. And the reason why you have to have it uncovered at the first, because if it's covered, you won't get the color you need, and that's why the heat is there, is to give it that initial color. And then you reduce the heat to 325 and you roast it for an additional 60 to 75 minutes. This is for a 10-pound prime rib roast. And then the internal temperature is going to be medium rare. All right. And so you cover it that second part, or you cover it for the second part of the cooking. And then you can make your homemade au jus. And we have the au jus recipe. Use the drippings from that. And it's really, really easy, really, really good au jus. And with roast beef, here's a couple tips and tricks with roast beef. Again, use a roast beef, use whatever cut. There's lots of different cuts. And there's so many, and it does make a difference what cut you use. But with this recipe, you can use the cheapest cut as if you want to and still get really, really tender roast beef.
Question, how much of the seasonings do you use?
Good question. It's usually, this recipe that we're using here is on 3 pounds of roast beef, about 2 tablespoons of our Alvy's Incredible. On our 10-pound prime rib, about 4 tablespoons of the Alvy's Incredible. That's about a 1/4 cup on a big prime rib roast. It doesn't take a lot. And also at the end of the, when it's done cooking, you're gonna use those drippings to make your au jus or your gravy. They will already be seasoned with that Alvy's Incredible, which you probably won't even have to season the gravy or au jus anymore.
Good to know.
Okay, and then with the roast beef, that you're gonna do that covered, but you start off in a frying pan. And so you basically cover the roast beef in your Alvy's Incredible, put a little oil in the pan, and you just heat that thing up and sear it on every side. You're not really trying to cook it, you're just trying to give it that color. So you sear it on the sides and on the top, and then you plop it in your roasting pan, and you can put it in the oven. And here we're going really slow and low, 300 degrees for 3 to 3.5 hours. And that's for about a 3-pound roast. And that will make even the toughest piece of roast really, really tender. And then for the gravy part of that, all you're gonna do is take the drippings from that roast, and then you can make a really, really easy and really good save the day gravy for that. No lumps ever.
So are all the amounts you used on the recipes then of?
Yes, all of the amounts are, thank you. And so I will talk about the recipes, but I'm not gonna share every detail. If you do have specific details you wanna know, just ask the question and I'll make sure that it is on the recipe.
Yeah, the recipes, someone wanna know how we get them. We are gonna post them in the group page, but more easily there's gonna be a link posted after this is over that you can put the app on your phone that will have all the recipes on there as well. So it'll be really easy to get, no problem.
Yeah. Okay, and those are great questions. I know the most important thing and our greatest concern is making sure that everybody can have all the recipes that they need. Because that's the whole point, is that you need to know how to be able to do what we're talking about doing, because then you can make that any flavor based on whatever seasoning blend you want to use or sweetening blend. Okay, and we borrowed mashed potatoes recipe from the Thanksgiving recipe sheet. And again, that's on there. We won't go through it, but we did make the mashed potatoes recipe. It's really, really easy.
It was good.
Use a little Alvy's Incredible, butter, milk, and then potatoes. And as those breadsticks continue to cook, what I've done is gotten ready some butter with our Italian seasoning. And this is the Italian butter recipe you're gonna find on the sheet. And then the breadstick recipe we've provided here is a really, really nice bread machine recipe. It's really easy, but it makes nice homemade breadsticks.
Yes, they're my favorite. I love them.
Yeah.
When I've got the time, that's what I prefer.
That's right. If we got the time, we're going to make that. If you don't have the time, you have the level 2, which is the frozen dough. And if you really don't have the time, you have the level 3, which is by the brown and serve. And I guess there is the level 4, which is the completely already pre-baked breadsticks that maybe you just warm up at the very end.
And season with the Italian.
And you can season
or
with the
whatever.
Italian, yeah. And every time I do one of these cooking demos, I always hope there's a couple of things that kind of go wrong, because I know if something goes wrong for me, it's going to go wrong for somebody else too. And I always like to be able to work through those sort of gotchas. There's always going to be the time when you forget that ingredient, or when you forget to do something and you're like, oh my, what do I do now that I don't have that, or I forgot to do that. I always like to work through those kind of situations and provide an alternative way so that you don't ruin your dish or you don't have to, you know, abandon your game plan, because that can really throw a kink in your holidays. Okay, so I want to do a little bit of cooking here. So what I want to do is cook some glazed carrots. I'm going to crank it on here. And glazed carrots are one of our favorites, and I've made it really, really easy here. There's a few ways you can do this. You can do this with carrots that are already cooked, or you can do it with carrots that are raw. I kind of towed the line a little bit here today because I actually sliced up some carrots. In this case, I've sliced them up this way, as you can see, round, where you can chop them into like sticks like you would get in Chinese food, or whatever works best for you, but they shouldn't be really, really thick. That's the key, and especially if you're starting raw. So if you're starting raw, and as the recipe is going to show on the in the document, you can saute those in the pan, and you're going to put a little oil in the pan, and you saute the carrots with some Alvy's Incredible in it for 5 minutes or so. And then when they're done sauteing, you take them out of the pan, and then what you're going to do is you make your glaze in the same pan. So it gets all those nice, and that's my preferred way. The faster way is what I did is I steamed these ahead of time, and so now they're already cooked and ready to go. So I can just make the glaze right away and then add the carrots at the end, and nice glazed carrots. So if you're in a hurry, there's multiple ways that you can do it. And what we're going to do is add some butter. And in our recipe, and this is like a half recipe, and so normally it would be 3 cups. This is about 1.5 cups. 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 tablespoons of orange juice. It's going to be 1 tablespoon. This is about half that.
So how far ahead can you cut up the carrots? They're pretty sturdy, aren't they?
Carrots are sturdy. They can. They're not a potato.
They're
You know,
not gonna
potato you have to
brown
be
or
careful. I don't even leave them out. Put them in water or worry about the air making them go bad. Carrots are a sturdy vegetable. So I have my candy.
So that orange juice was just regular orange juice concentrate made into orange juice, right? Or,
That's correct,
or
yeah.
you could buy it already done up.
Yeah, either way, it really doesn't matter. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a tablespoon of my salted caramel sweetening here to this orange juice and butter.
There's little flecks in there. Is that the caramel?
That is, it's a certain kind of, it's our raw sugar that's in there.
Oh.
The caramel is a flavor, and let's give it a little stir with our, like that.
How high is your heat?
It's going to be kind of medium high to start, and then I'm going to turn it down a little bit to medium as it cooks. And as you can see, that is just, it's boiling away, but as that cooks, the sugars in there are going to caramelize, and that's what's going to make it thick. So when you're working with sugar, and we're going to show you this with the caramel popcorn, the candied popcorn recipe that I'm going to demo here in just a minute. The hotter you get sugar, the harder it's going to get, but it doesn't get hard until it cools down. And so sometimes you don't know how hard is it going to be when it cools down. And so on this, it's kind of hard to come up with like a standard to cook it for this long and it'll exactly be this thick. But what you want to do is get it nice and cooked and boiling until where you see it, it looks like it's starting to get thick.
So pretty important to constantly stir then?
It's pretty important to constantly stir, and especially if this was just like the popcorn that we're going to be doing, the candied popcorn. Yeah. Really important that you should. This one has butter and it has orange juice in it, not quite as sensitive as just the sugar and the water mixture that you get together. Okay, so that's there, and I'm going to dump that in there. And then I'm going to put just a 1/4 teaspoon of our Alvy's Incredible seasoning. It's not entirely sweet. It's got just a little bit of savory in there. 1/4 teaspoon really is about all you're looking for. And that'll give it just enough of it, because nothing wrong with sweet and salty, just a little bit.
That's my favorite combination.
I know, it's good. And that salted caramel flavor is going to be really, really good. Now, normally you can add some brown sugar, so you can use our brown sugar cinnamon sweetening, a little bit of it in here as well. But all we're going to do is just going to saute that, and then when those things are nice, already they're nice and glazed. So that's just about done right there. we can pour that into a serving bowl and it's all ready to go. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put it right in this bowl.
So if that hadn't already been steamed, it would cook a bit longer, just until it's like tender crisp.
Yeah, and so that's why it takes like 5 minutes to saute. If you're using raw carrots, saute them until they're soft. It'll take about 5, and then you use the same pan for the whole process. Okay, so there's glazed carrot dressing.
They smell wonderful.
That I really am getting that smell, and I'm gonna taste one here just because I wanted to see what it tastes like.
So they asked you cook these down until they're soft.
You cook them down until they're the short answer is yes, but the long answer is you want them soft, but you don't want to cook them so much that they get mushy. Carrots can get mushy if they get overcooked. In my ideal world, you would do them raw and saute them for 5 minutes or so until they're what we call tender crisp. And so tender crisp is when you bite into it, it doesn't taste raw, but it has a little pop when you bite it, but still tender, so that when you're eating it, you're like, oh yeah, it's cooked. And you're gonna get it cooked a little bit more when you add it with the glaze. And so it doesn't have to be 100% done when you're done with the saute, but close. Okay, so those are just about right. It has a nice enough sweetness so that when you get it, you're like, oh, it has that sweetness, but it's not so sweet like I'm eating a dessert carrot. Mm-hmm. It's a little sweet, little salty, and gives it just enough so that you're like, oh yeah, that's a nice side dish. That's not like a dessert on my plate. It's a side dish, and it's carrots, but it has a little sweetness, which makes it just right. So that's our glazed carrots. Now what I want to do really quick, so uncheck the breadsticks. Looks how they're popping up nice and quick, easy there. So it looks like we got those are supposed to cook for about 13 minutes. I never did set the timer, so I'm gonna set it for about 4 minutes left here. Okay, so the glazed carrots are done, mashed potato. The strong arm roasted vegetables, as I have these right here, are roasted
Sweet
sweet potatoes. So this is 3 large sweet potatoes that have been peeled and chopped. And so all we've done with this, and you can do this with regular potatoes, you can do this with the yams, you can do this with, like I said, we have a roasted vegetable recipe from the Thanksgiving demo that is the same sort of concept. All you do is you chop it up, you put it in a bowl, and you add a little oil. You mix in some Alvy's Incredible or Strong Arm or whatever Save the Day seasoning you want. And you throw it on a pan, and you're gonna bake it for about 20 minutes at 400 degrees.
How important is it that you have the silicone mat there? Does it
Not
stick? Otherwise?
super important. It's not that important. You're coating these in oil already. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna cook these for about 15 minutes, and then we're gonna toss them around a little bit, mix it up, and cook it for another 15 minutes. Okay, so as soon as those breadsticks come out, I'm gonna throw these in. We might be done before these get done, but we may not be done before I take them out and toss them around.
And then you just eat them. You wouldn't mash them, right? You just eat
No,
them
they're
like
not
that.
mashed. They end up being like a golden brown, sort of, browned and actually a little crisp, and then soft in the center, right? A little crispy on the outside, soft on the center is the goal.
Michelle Carson asked, do you need to spray the pan also?
No, you don't need to. In fact, that rule holds with anything that you're baking. If you've already oiled it, then don't worry about greasing the pan. So in this case, yeah, it's already mixed with oil. And that's an important rule to remember when you're baking cookies or something like that. Most cookies, because they have so much butter in the mixture, are just fine on an ungreased cookie sheet. And so think about that. Now, there are exceptions to the rule, but for most cookies and most vegetables, if you've greased it, you're good.
Okay.
So I'm gonna set that there, and we're gonna get ready to take that in just a minute. Now, the seasoned popcorn. Here, we've done some popcorn, and I'm gonna do we have the seasonings and the sweetenings. And our popcorn right here these are just a couple of seasoned popcorns. It's just microwave popcorn, and as soon as it comes out, and I have the recipe for it here, I think it's
yummy.
about 3 cups of popcorn and about a teaspoon of seasoning. And so in this case, we've done the Alvy's, not the Incredible, but the Strong Arm and the dill on these two. And the nice thing about the seasonings in the popcorn, it fits that sweet and salty desire that so many of us like, but adds the flavor too. And so it's not a candied popcorn, it's a savory popcorn. But our seasonings have always been really, really popular on popcorns. Albi's Incredible has been a big favorite. Strong Arm, the dill is a new favorite on popcorn. Cajun, Jamaican. Try whatever one you want. It's just really, really easy to make and fits into that category of a nice Christmas treat that you can either snack on or you can give to people as part of a package or whatever.
What I like too is if we have a bag of popcorn, you can season just your own bowl rather than buying a big bag of flavored popcorn and have it go stale. You can just kind of season as you want, whatever flavor you want.
Yeah. Natural too, right? There's no MSG, no additives, fillers, preservative, dyes in our seasonings, among other things. Gluten-free, soy-free, dairy-free. So you're not adding, a spice packet from the store that may have chemicals or other products that we don't really care to put in ours. You could have those. That's one really good thing about our seasonings and also our sweetenings. Now when the sweetenings are, with the sweetenings, actually, it's a pretty good important point. Why in the world would we we tell people our seasonings are healthier than our sweetenings are healthier than other dessert alternatives? And one of the main reasons is that there's nothing artificial in them. So our strawberry is strawberry, and it's sugar, but it's flavored naturally. And so we use pure cane sugar. We have actually 4 different kinds of sugar that we use, and 4 or 5. And with all of the flavors, you get the flavor from what actually is being.
I love that there's no dyes. So much of the desserts and candies and things have a lot of chemicals and dyes that that red dye isn't good, especially because we have a son who has ADD, and so it's kind of important we don't add those things to his diet.
Yeah, so our sweetenings are not only really, really tasty, flavorful, just like our seasonings, but they don't have all that artificial stuff in it. So we're kind of proud of that.
Yeah, Carrie Seavey, she chimed in and said she loves lemon pepper on her popcorn and now the salted caramel.
Oh, yeah.
They're all good.
Excellent. Okay, so I have right here is a little Italian butter. Now you also can use this with any of our seasonings as well. We really like the Italian butter. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull these out, and then right away we're gonna brush those. Now, as a little extra, what you can do is you can add a little Parmesan cheese in here as well.
Yes, that's
really good. And I haven't done that. So we just simply brush it right on there.
Smells wonderful.
There we go. It's so funny. My wife right now is trying to get my 17-year-old son's attention so he can let the dog outside, and he's got his headphones on. It's such a typical teenage response there.
Yeah, but he's doing his homework, so
he is doing his homework. I guess that's good. All right. So the breadsticks are done. I mean, that's how easy. And those were the Rhodes rolls. Those were the frozen dough.
Here, I gotta get a better look at them.
But we really, really love the recipe with the scratch on there.
And they're so pretty. Got the herbs on there, nice and fresh. I can smell them. That's the kind of breadstick you're gonna lick your fingers when you're done.
Okay, and I just put the sweet potatoes in the oven, so those are getting ready. I better set the timer for 15 minutes, and we're gonna get that started. As soon as that's out, then we're gonna mix them up, and we'll put them right back in there. Great. Okay, now I'm gonna make some candied popcorn. This is really, really easy. I'm so glad that we figured this recipe out because it's a really good and really easy one. It's literally just add water to our sweetenings, and you can make candied popcorn. So I'm gonna grab my whip. For years, we have made caramel corn. It's correct, Jen, at your sister's house,
yes.
And it is a production to make caramel corn. You have to. It was microwave. You put it in the butter, brown sugar, and there was like baking soda, and you had to add it at the right time, and it had to react the right way, and then you poured it over the popcorn. And anyway, it was quite a production. But right now, all we have is 2 tablespoons of water, which is half of a quarter cup. and a quarter cup of, so I have my thing backwards. So a quarter cup of sweetening, and
So which flavor are you using?
so this is salted caramel.
Yes, this one tastes pretty close
Just
to
like caramel corn.
corn. Yeah, it's so good.
All right, so I'm gonna have that on pretty much medium-high heat for the start. And like I said, a quarter cup and 2 tablespoons of water. Doesn't seem like a lot of water, and it isn't, but if you look in there, you can see there's your, we have some little toffee pieces that we put in our salted caramel sweetening. It's getting ready to dissolve. It's not ready, so what we're gonna do is bring that to a boil, and when that comes to a boil, we're gonna cook that for 90 seconds. And
So just a minute and a half?
just a minute and a half. Now, I'm using a wide saucepan. Some people have a narrower saucepan. This is 8 inches wide, but if you have a 6-inch or a 4-inch saucepan, you're gonna wanna add about 1 minute to the cooking time after it comes to a boil, because you're actually, in this case, with the wider pan, you're spreading it out thinner along the bottom, and what that does is it enables it to cook at a hotter and more wide temperature. If it's condensed more, it means it's higher in the pan, takes a little bit longer to get to the temperature. So,
Oh, good to know.
yeah, I just figured that out just recently because I was doing it, and then I realized when I was doing it in another pan, I did it for 90 seconds and it didn't seem like long enough. And I realized that I'm not cooking it at this thickness, I'm cooking it at that thickness
So
in the
if
pan.
you don't do it long enough, what happens to the candy?
It ends up watery, right? Moist instead of
Oh.
instead of drying like it's supposed to, like caramel corn is supposed to dry so you can eat it and it's dry. It ends up feeling just more like caramel sauce.
I wonder if that's what happened when I made it, and the popcorn was a little bit, it was a little moist, like you said, a little bit wet.
Yeah. So get a shot here. You can see it's starting to, the way my burner cooks, it has an outside and an inside and ends up cooking a little hotter on the outside. Really important to keep stirring this. But again, even though it's important to keep stirring it and keep an eye on it, it is super easy because you literally don't have to do anything else other than add water and just stir it for that
So
couple of minutes.
That would be super convenient if you're like out
grab
camping
right
or
here.
I don't know, somewhere you don't have a lot of space for ingredients, or you just trying to be easy.
Super
Just water,
super easy,
just
and
water
it's really, really tasty, and that's the thing. Just so tasty. So, whoops.
So you count the 90 seconds after it gets to kind of a
After
full
it
boil.
starts to boil, you set your timer for 90 seconds, yeah. And you can see that that's boiling quite well. I'm have it on about medium to medium high, really.
Okay.
And it's almost done.
About how much popcorn did you say it goes on?
This is about 3 to 4 cups of popcorn. I'm gonna put it on 4 cups of popcorn.
So if you were to double this recipe, would you then cook it longer? Because it's
You're gonna have to cook it
thicker?
longer,
I mean,
yes,
it's
yes.
more in the pan.
And that is the key, is that I really want to have a specific temperature this needs to be, and I should know that, but I don't because I've just been making it in this little pan every time. But this is ready now, and so what I can do is just, you can, it's
Because it's turning a little darker?
you can see that it actually changed consistency. It looks a little bit different.
A little thicker, a little darker?
Yeah, and I'm gonna grab a spatula here so turn it out properly.
It's gonna be yummy.
Okay, and then it's really, really important to stir this on as soon as possible afterwards. So I'm gonna dump it right there
I'm gonna swap spots.
and immediately stir it in because you don't want to waste any time because it's gonna dry very quickly. And I love using this rice. This is a rice, whoopsie, server.
The spoon?
The spoon is a rice server, and it actually works pretty well to scrape the bottom and the sides of this. And there we go.
Someone wanted to know what will, Elizabeth Dan wanted to know what will happen if she boils it too long. Will it taste burnt?
It's going to be, the answer is probably not. It probably won't taste burnt, but you can burn it. And what happens is that probably it becomes very, very hard to pour. It becomes, actually starts getting hard in the pan.
Oh.
Starts crusting around the sides. And then as you're stirring and you're realizing as you pour it, it's gonna like get hard, boom, just like that. You won't even be able to mix it in because it's gonna turn to candy way too soon.
So it's probably just gonna be harder to work with before it actually tastes burnt?
Yeah, exactly. So there it is.
And they want to know to do it is it easy to do in larger quantities? Just as long as you get to the right
You
temp?
can. I need to provide the right temperature, right? And there's like a hard ball, soft ball stage, and hard crack.
Yeah.
And so what I have to do is make sure, and I used to know all of those numbers. I just don't know them by heart anymore. But really, really good and really, really easy recipe. You say Sam makes about 4 cups there for that quarter cup.
Sorry guys, but I'm gonna try some.
But it's legitimate
90
caramel
seconds,
corn.
just water.
Yeah. So that's that. It's that easy.
So less time, will it get a softer caramel, or is it just make it watery?
It could, and there's 7 different sweetenings, and they're all just slightly different. So if you do it, I noticed if I did it with the brown sugar cinnamon, if it was not long enough, it got really, it made it soggy, right? It was made the popcorn soggy. Whereas on the chocolate, if I didn't do it long enough, the chocolate has some different properties where it still just tastes like chocolate popcorn. And it has like, it dries, but it leaves like that. It's like grabbing a handful of chocolate chips, you know. If you hold it long enough, it'll leave a chocolate residue.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. So, but I think most all of them will end up soggy if you ended up not cooking long.
Okay,
long
so maybe
enough.
smaller batches to start so you perfect it.
Yeah,
And
and then
then,
keep looking for the updates on that recipe to make sure we have like a chart or something like that
We'll,
to get
we'll
the
work
right.
on that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so that's good. Okay, so everything is going there. We don't need that on anymore. And let's talk about some desserts, okay? So we have lots of desserts that we're talking about because Christmas is a sweet time of year, and so we're giving a lot of desserts away. We're making a lot of desserts for our family. And so sticky rolls, we like sticky rolls on Christmas morning, Thanksgiving morning, and
Thanksgiving?
both.
I mean, I see.
Yeah, both. And so I came up with a really, really easy and nice sticky roll recipe here. And I've baked it already. And some key things for the sticky rolls is you can make your own rolled dough. The recipe I'm providing is using the frozen dough again, the Rhodes rolls. And so what we've done over here, among my pecan pie, that's for later, is we have a pecan sticky loaf or sticky rolls here. I made this in the round cake pan, sprayed generously, and then you make the sticky roll caramel sauce and you spread it along the bottom, pour the pecans, and next time I would probably chop the pecans, spread the pecans on the bottom, and you take those rolls that are thawed, you dip them in the rest of the caramel sauce, and you plop them right on top of that.
So when you say thawed for the Rhodes rolls, are they actually raised or they're just not
They're not
frozen?
raised. They're just not frozen
Okay.
anymore. Yeah. In this case, they started to raise a little bit, and that's okay. If they start to raise, that's fine. Even if they raise all the way, go ahead and do it. They'll raise again. Okay. Or you can use this pan, right? A lot of people have this 8x8. And you can do
brownie
the
pan.
same thing. Yeah. And so when you do this and bake it, you bake it uncovered at 350, and it takes about 35 to 40 minutes. And when you take it out of the oven, the key is you have to dump it right away, or else all that, just like when you're cooking the candy, it's going to get too hard if you wait too long. This is going to get too hard to pour, and it'll stick to the bottom if you wait any more than, say, 30 seconds or a minute, or even sometimes it depends on your container as well, or your baking dish that you're using. The thinner the baking dish, the faster you'll want to get it out of there, because the faster the outside cool will affect that.
So Tracy McDonald wants to know why uncovered.
Why uncovered? In this case, that's going to work. If you try to cover that up, when it is cooking, it actually... So when I was making this, and that's a good question actually, by the way, when I put it in the oven, it was about level with the top of that pan. But when they cook, they rise up. You can see if you bring the camera right over here to the side, bring the camera over here to the side, that's about the length it went to the top of the pan, and then it rises an additional amount. And so if you have it covered, it's going to bump into that top of the cover, whether it's foil or whatever, and it's going to stick to the top. And then when you pull it off, it's just going to be it's going to be a mess. And so that's why we leave it uncovered. And it still works pretty well.
Would it get too brown? If it gets too brown, do you just then put loose foil on top? Or?
Well, The idea is it shouldn't get too brown before it
Okay.
gets done. And these ones did not. They got brown just right, and it was done at the right time. If it's done and you're finding that, and of course, you know, there's elevation issues with baking and things like that, climate conditions with your baking, so there are variables. If you find that it's getting brown before it's done, you turn the temperature down,
Okay.
25 degrees, yeah.
Would a bundt pan need to cook less?
A bundt pan would probably need to cook less, yeah, because the part that
Circulation
takes
through.
the most time is that center part. And that's the key, is when that center part, when it's in there, you're touching that center part and it's firm, right? It's not poking in, which means it's still not cooked in the middle. So if it's brown and that center part is nice and rise and it doesn't, you know, it's solid, I don't want to tempt you to try to force it down, right, and make it sink. But once that's done, then it's ready to go. Was there another point I was
Nope.
making on that?
Oh, I don't know, but that was the question.
Okay. Anything else on the sticky buns?
No, I don't think
Okay, so that's our sticky bun right there. Candied popcorn. We just did that.
so. Yes.
We have that. Now, the thing with this is going to stay good for a little while, actually. We had it a few days later and it was good. But
Yes.
I'm trying to let you see here, it's dry,
Yes.
right? It's not
You
wet.
can touch it. You can touch it, and it doesn't leave a residue on your hands, really. I mean, that might be a little bit of butter from the popcorn, but it's not sticky in your hands.
Right. Really good flavor there.
It's also a good way if you have like maybe day old popcorn, not as great by itself anymore, but not super old. It's a great way to revitalize
Yeah.
a little bit old popcorn.
Exactly. That's a good point, too. Okay. Candied nuts. We made them last night for the first time.
Love candied nuts.
They ended up to be legitimate. So we made a bunch, and this is all that left because we ended up eating them and
I'm
eating them.
guilty. I ate some.
So this
Let's
one is
move
made.
them off here. There.
This one is made with the salted caramel sweetening, and this one with brown sugar cinnamon. And literally, again, just add water. It's the same recipe as the popcorn. Okay, same recipe. You put a 1/4 cup of sweetenings with 2 tablespoons of water and 1 cup of nuts.
So don't you cook the nuts in it?
You do, but
So-
it's the same recipe as far as the amounts. And the cooking
The same
technique is
ratio.
different.
Okay.
Yeah, and so on these, what you're doing is you're actually bringing that to a boil, but you're adding these right before it gets to the boil, right? And you're actually cooking them, and it becomes candied as you cook it, instead of the sauce alone becoming candied and pouring it then on another thing like popcorn. So
Are these raw nuts then, rather than roasted?
these are raw, yeah, these are raw. And if you use roasted nuts, that's okay too. That's not a problem at all. Use the roasted nuts. They're gonna be just fine. You don't need to add them right away. You can add them after it starts to boil. And on these, what we're gonna do is once it starts to boil, or right before it starts to boil, we add the nuts, and then we just mix it. Mix it with a wooden spoon or something that's not gonna burn, and you're gonna notice it's gonna be wet, and it's gonna continue to be wet until they're done. And you'll notice that it starts getting that really crusty, it turns really dry, and that crust starts to form on the nut. And when that crust forms and you're like, oh wow, that looks really dry, those are done. Dump them out right away.
Cool. So does it matter what kind of nut? Those are almonds.
These are almonds. It doesn't really matter what kind of nut. Cashews are popular, pecans are popular, almonds are always popular. We want to experiment with some peanuts as well and see what peanuts are like. So now these roasted, as you can see, those are starting to cook really nice. They smell fantastic. And I'm going to grab a spatula and I'm going to start flipping those around. And with these, what happens is if you get them and they're bunched together, they don't cook as evenly. So if you can spread them around, you're going to end up with a much more evenly cooked vegetable. And then it's going to be another, if you're ever clumped up on a tray, sometimes shaking it will smooth it out so they're spread nicer. And then that's ready to go back in for another 15. Now my oven rack is a little bit low there. I had it lower for the ham. And do I need to move that up? Not necessarily. Will I move it up? Yes, I will. It'll allow things to cook just slightly more evenly if that's up higher in the middle of the
Do you need the timer back on?
Indeed.
At least I'm useful for something.
Oh, you're useful for a lot. There we go. Okay, so that's in there. Okay, so the candied nuts was a really, really nice surprise because that is something that, you know, most people don't do at home because we go to the trade shows and they have the candied nuts there that we buy. We love those.
The pecans.
But you can make those at home now.
Brown sugar cinnamon with the pecans.
Mm-hmm. Just add water, and I don't know how much easier it could get. All right, I want to talk about pecan pie. So this right here is the first pecan pie. We made it with the sweetening and brown sugar cinnamon. And the recipe, if I can find it here.
I can't wait to try that. That looks really good. It looks like it's has a little bit drier top crust than some of them I've seen, where it's a little more wet looking.
Well, so what we have here, we're gonna mix. It's a pecan pie. It's kind of a wet pie anyway. It's not one that, I mean, it has a saucy center.
Right.
And it's a cup of sugar, a cup of light or dark corn syrup, a half cup of melted butter, 3 eggs, and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar cinnamon sweetening. And then what we do is we take a pie crust, and this is a frozen pie crust. And you can make your own pie crust, that's just fine. They're not super hard to make. They do take a little bit of time. Frozen pie crust is really easy and not super expensive. Throw some pecans on the bottom of the pie crust, unbaked, okay? And 1.5 cups. And then you pour that mixture that you just mix in it with a wire whip or in an electric mixer, pour it right on top of that. You throw that in the oven. Now the key with pecan pie is the edges will burn on the pecan pie before it is done. And so you have to put some foil loosely around it here. And so that's what I did. I put it just really loosely around it, and you cook it for about 30 minutes with the foil, and then you carefully remove the foil, and you cook it for another 20 to 35 minutes until it's done. And it's done basically. It's just not gonna pass the toothpick test here at all. And so you know when it's done when it's dark along the, and the crust is not burnt. You don't want to burn the crust or the top. It should be dark but not burnt. And it's going to jiggle still regardless. And so when you pull it out, that's when it gets set up over, when you have it in the, we put it in the fridge overnight and it's set up. And so a pecan pie is not meant to be eaten as soon as it comes out of the oven, like some pies.
Okay, good to know. And what would you put on top? Anything else?
On pecan pie?
Do you put any topping? I guess you...
I'm not sure anybody usually puts things on pecan pie.
Okay.
It is so sweet. You could possibly put something to cut the sweetness. Whipped cream sometimes will cut the sweetness, or or some vanilla ice cream or something like that. That'd probably be just fine.
So you don't put the foil in the middle? You just put it only around the edge?
Like
a little strip?
You can technically go either way. I put it around. It's really kind of a painful process to try to get it just around the edge. Easier just to put one piece loosely around the whole thing.
So just not pinch tight around it.
Yeah, you don't want it to really stick to the top. It's going to maybe a little bit, and that's okay. It's really not a big deal. It's very forgiving. So just do it loosely. Don't shove it down on top of the pie, that kind of thing.
Okay.
All right. Okay, and we're also borrowing some dessert recipes and ideas from our Thanksgiving cooking class. And I wanted to show you really quick our Christmas cooking.
Here, do you want to walk around?
Yeah, that's fine. So this here is the Christmas pack here, very similar to the Thanksgiving pack. This is going to have everything you need to make several of the, from the seasoning and from the baking mix perspective, several of the recipes that we have presented tonight. But since I said there's like going to be 26 recipes on that recipe Christmas cooking demo, so you can get to pick and choose then what you really want to make for your Christmas. And so we have several meat options, several side dishes, dessert options, so that you can really get to pick and choose and see what your options are with a single mix and a single set of seasonings and sweetenings. Then how to make your Christmas dinner, and it's going to be super, super easy.
So what's here on the top?
So that is our hot pad. It's a little Save the Day Seasonings hot pad.
Okay.
And we have here our universal baking mix, a jar of the Albies Incredible, and then our strong arm Italian and Mexican seasonings that you can use to mix it up on whatever it is that you want to make. And then we have a couple of our brown sugar cinnamon, our salted caramel and pumpkin spice sweetenings that you can use to make various desserts, and you get to pick the desserts that you want to make.
So you can't, this isn't necessarily enough to make all the recipes. You'd have to pick and choose.
Yeah, you're gonna have to pick and choose.
There's a lot of
You're gonna
recipes.
be able to make a couple of desserts and all of your meals, because you're just seasoning your meat or something like that, or seasoning
Gotcha.
your vegetables. There's plenty for that. The desserts, there's going to be enough for you to flavor your 1 or 2 desserts that you make, and you can make at least a dessert out of each one of these. So there
How
you go.
much is that?
This is $25, and so that's on the website. It's the Christmas pack.
So if somebody wanted to order it and not have it delivered to them to repackage to then mail, can you ship directly to?
Yeah, that's not a problem. You can order anytime for somebody, and we can drop ship right to them. Not a problem.
And will it come with this ribbon?
Yeah, it comes with the ribbon, and it
Just
comes
like that?
with just like this. And $25. There was one more thing I was going to say about that.
But that doesn't include shipping though, right?
No, it
Okay.
doesn't include the shipping, but free shipping. Yeah, free shipping over $50, guys. So
Oh.
you can get free shipping.
Cool.
So just buy 2 and you get the free shipping.
Nice.
Some of our other products here, we have the spice racks, and these right here actually fit 6 of our jars. And we have these jar tags too. These are great gifts, as we have the jars, and we sell the jar tags as a separate pack of 6 that you can put on your Christmas gifts. And this will hold 6 jars, and it actually goes like this, where it's a box that has our branded Save the Day, and
like a
then
crate.
you open. This is a really nice gift here, where we are 6-pack, and you can pick any jars that go in this. That's $75.
So 6 jars including
Yes,
the
any
rack?
6 jars with the rack, $75, and that's a really nice Christmas gift for somebody. Or in fact, our 12-pack here as well. The 12-pack spice rack does the same thing. It's got 2 levels, and then you can just sit that right on your
Yeah, we've
shelf.
got ours over there in the corner. I'll show you in a second.
Yeah.
But
And you can order that one online too.
yeah, those are real heavy, substantial gifts.
Yeah, these are really, really nice gifts here.
Or for yourself.
Now let me tell you, we actually are going to throw out another special here for tonight.
Ooh.
Is we have our jars, and I know a lot of you guys have teachers to give to. You have friends and neighbors and family, co-workers, whoever. And I know we did this too, even before we went into business. We were giving away the Albies Incredible. In fact, that's one of the reasons we went into business, is we gave away the Albies Incredible, and moms were calling me weeks after Christmas and asking what in the world is in this, because their kid is eating broccoli for the first time or whatever it is. And so we have the jar special, 12 jars for $75. Now that's a fantastic
Ooh.
deal. That's going to be a flash sale going for the next 72 hours that you can get our 12-pack jars. And now when you go on the website and select the 12 jars for $75, you get to pick the jars that you want. You can order 12 of the same, you can order 1 of each, and it doesn't matter.
Nice.
Now, you can, if you want to, leave a special instructions that if you have gifts you're giving, that you need so many extra recipe cards, and we'll throw those extra recipe cards in there. Our universal recipe card will show you how to make any flavor of our seasonings into a dip, marinade, pasta, meat rub, salad dressing, soups, all kinds of different stuff. And so that's really, really handy.
So the little gift tags, are those also available?
Those are available on the website as well in
Seasoned
packs of
ingredients.
6. Yep, and it comes with a little tie.
The tie,
You can
the
tie
tie
it around.
comes with it. So that's handy.
And you can just put that on your jars. Great little gift.
So a couple questions came through. People want to know, how soon are those Christmas packs that you showed us, these guys, how soon are those ready to ship?
Ready to ship tomorrow.
So people could order them right away?
You can order them now. Ready to ship tomorrow.
Just so you know, guys, I don't believe this, there's a picture on the website yet, but very shortly we'll get that on there.
The picture
So-
may be of the Thanksgiving pack, which looks very similar.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So
Yeah.
you might see a picture. It'll look kind of like this, but might be the Thanksgiving pack until this is the first day we actually put this together.
Okay.
We should have a picture up in the next day or two of this.
Also, when's the last day to order to get things by Christmas?
The last day to order at Christmas is on a Tuesday this year, so we'll have to be delivered by Monday, which puts us around Thursday the previous week. The order, I would recommend getting it in by Wednesday before Christmas,
Okay.
just to make sure we have time to process, package, and we don't know how heavy the flow will be that day anyway, so we want to make sure we can get it out at the post office by Wednesday. Thursday will probably get there, but probably is not probably good enough for Christmas, so Wednesday.
Okay. Now, in case you guys didn't know, if you were invited by a consultant, please, when you order, go through their site. If you don't know their site and you order through the main site, the most important thing is that in the comments, you put their name so that they can be sure to get the host rewards for inviting you to the cooking class.
Yeah.
So when you order, how do you add a consultant to the order? I mean, how do you?
It'll ask you, you'll have two options. It'll say enter consultant ID. What you can do is you can actually look up a consultant by name or location closest to you. If you know where your consultant lives, you can look them up and get their ID and sign up as a customer under them. That would be the ideal way to do that. And then you can just order right from, it's the same, they'll get the credit if you do that or if you put it in the comments. Or you can continue as a guest. And if you continue as a guest, that's okay too, but just make sure you put in the comments then, or the special instructions. I think it actually the special instructions area where you would then make a note of who your host is.
Okay, very good. So, what are some of the other gift ideas we have here?
So here's some of our sweetenings here. I've got the other two of the brown sugar cinnamon and the salted caramel over where I was cooking with. The peanut butter, pumpkin spice, chocolate, strawberry, and lemon are the other 5. We've got our jars. We've got our 4-pack gift box, and this is, you can pick any 4 jars. You just go to the website and pick 4-pack gift box. You can pick any 4 jars, and that is on sale for $25 this month. It is our special of the month. And
the recipe card's inside the box.
Yes,
so
and we provide the recipe card, and it comes on our Save the Day Seasonings branded box here.
And it won't have the shrink wrap on it. It'll be closed, so people won't see it till they open the box, but it's on display. So, somebody wanted to know, how do you become a consultant if they wanted to share these
Becoming
seasonings?
a consultant's really easy. You can go to SaveTheDaySeasonings.com and click join, and it'll take you to a form where you can then sign up. And if you don't have a consultant or somebody that's part of a Save the Day family right now, you can just pick whoever's closest, or you can always enter 813255. Just letting you know, there's that consultant ID, 813255. That'll just be the general sign up under, and then we would want to get you to a sponsor that's close to your one that could really help you out. And $79 to join, as low as $79. We have several starter kit options that we could send you, and we want to provide really, really good support for our new consultants who join our Save the Day family.
And the cool thing is, well, you already see how awesome they are. You've probably tried them, but they're so consumable. I mean, it's not a product you buy once, and it's not a luxury item. So
yeah, and we have a very broad target audience as well, which is
Yeah.
pretty much everybody from 18 to 60. So a couple more things. We have our variety packs, and we have these. We also have these in little boxes where you can pick your own 4, 6, or 12 pack in the little bags. These are our favorites, our spicy and our ethnic packs. They make great stocking stuffers. Just happen to be shaped the right size.
yes, they do.
The little boxes are great too. We also have our bulk sizes. And this is what I was talking about, which is our universal recipe card. Now, our bulk sizes are popular for most people who are already customers, or even who are not, because that's a volume of 5 of the small jars, and we sell it for the price of 3 jars. So you get 2 free jars when you get the bulk size. And here's our universal recipe card for the seasonings, if you haven't seen this one already, where you can get all kinds of ideas on how to make any flavor of all these different kinds of things. And our sweetening recipe card, and now we have access to a lot more recipes now than just a few. And we have our universal baking mix chart, which we're now have like twice as much things that we have here. We're coming out with a much more long and robust universal baking mix chart now as we speak too.
Quick question, how long is the shelf life once they're open?
Shelf life once they're open, at least 2 years. And I've actually tried them longer than that. They don't really go bad. They just tend to lose their potency over time if they're exposed to heat and light. With our seasonings, you might run into some caking issues because there's no silicon dioxide whatsoever. If that's the case, if you live in a humid climate, you're going to notice that the seasonings are going to clump and they're going to cake. Misty Nicholas out in West Virginia found that if you put some rice, just put some rice in with the seasonings, that absorbs that water and they stay nice and dry. So thanks, Misty, for that. And I think Misty's on the call tonight. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Oh, it's beeping.
Oh,
While
it's beeping.
he goes checking that, I'm just going to show you some more great ideas we came up with when it comes to gift giving. So you guys have seen these cute glass jars where people layer cookie mix and things like that. Well, as you know, with our universal baking mix that comes in that Christmas pack, you can not have to get out a bunch of ingredients. This is our recipe that's for the oatmeal chocolate chip cookies. And so you would basically add, I think it's like 1.5 cups of the universal baking mix, 1.5 cups of the oats, and just a little bit of the chocolate chips in there. And the only thing they have to add is, I believe, eggs and butter. And then bam, they've got, anyway, you can put the recipe on the tag if you want. These tags I made are called, this says thankful for sweet friends like you. And then the other option I had created was just popping by to wish you a Merry Christmas. So you could put the seasoned popcorn or the sweet popcorn. These tags I'm going to be posting on this site so you guys can use and download and print out yourself to make these if you like. In here, this is a mug. So sometimes we like to give out mugs. Well, as you know, we have these new sweet shots, which are sweetenings put in little straws for single serving. We've got our original blends and our mixed blends. These are the 2 original that fit in there. And you can even include like a pack of hot chocolate or something to go with there. But these sweet shots make really nice flavors to go in your drinks, but they're for a lot of other uses. You can eat them straight like candy, like you would, just a powdered candy. Or you can put on your ice cream or however you want, but that's kind of a fun idea. This is another idea. You can put the popcorn in just a little gift bag, or like I said, the tins are great. This is, oh yeah, sweet shots were great to add to a bow on packages. I love that. Thanks, Tracy McDonald. Okay, so here are those candied nuts. Now, nuts are not super cheap, so I think just a little baggie like this is a nice little gift, or you can put it in conjunction with like cookies or something like that. But you can just put a little ribbon around it, and bam, you've got a nice little neighbor gift as well. And we didn't demo it, but I'd love for Adrian to tell you a little bit about our cookies and how incredibly easy.
Yeah.
You're doing cookies to give out at Christmas time.
Cookies are super easy, and I was just going to finish up by talking about a few other desserts that you can make besides cookies, also that are on the Thanksgiving recipe list that I've moved over to the Christmas recipe list that you can also make with what's in the Christmas pack.
Okay.
That would be our frosted pumpkin bars, one of my favorites.
Oh, those are the bomb.
Cinnamon coffee cake with the crumb topping, the apple crisp, and the cinnamon roll cookie bars. So if any of those sound good, grab that recipe off of the sheet. 5 different cookies now that we can make, and certainly there are others, but really popular ones that we can make with the universal baking mix by just adding butter and eggs and tweaking a few things and adding like peanut butter for peanut butter cookies, chocolate chip, peanut butter cookies, snickerdoodles, oatmeal cookies, and sugar cookies. You can make any of those with our universal baking mix, and we have the recipes for those. So
nice.
that's those.
Okay.
Okay, recap.
And then also, very soon, as you know, we're giving this is our 8 pack. There's a little sweetenings starter pack. So we've got all 7. We've got 2 of the chocolate as a real popular one. And so we're giving that away. We've entered everybody's names that have been participating on one of those random name picker sites. So in just a minute, I'm going to have my son run upstairs and we will announce who is getting this shipped to them tomorrow.
All right. I think it's been long enough, hasn't it? Yeah, it's 7:05, so
Okay.
way long enough.
All right.
So let's
Ethan?
really quick. I want to recap what we have been, what we talked about then.
Sorry.
We can't get this voice attention.
Ethan, will you go upstairs and figure out who's winning the?
It's right on.
Oh, you did it already? Just now? Okay. Oh, well,
Apparently he did it already.
Yeah, he did
Okay.
it already for me.
So, really quick though, I wanted to recap what we went over then for dinner, Christmas dinner: glazed ham, prime rib, and roast beef. Prime rib with an au jus, roast beef with a gravy if you want it. Glazed carrots, mashed potatoes, roasted sweet potatoes, roasted vegetables, seasoned popcorn, breadsticks with Italian butter, sticky rolls, candied popcorn, candied nuts, pecan pie, frosted pumpkin bars, cinnamon coffee cake with crumb topping, apple crisps, cinnamon roll cookie bars, and the 5 kind of cookies that we just talked about. The 5 kinds of cookies I need to add to the recipe, so you're going to look at that and we're going to update that. So keep going out. As soon as that's updated, the cookies will appear on there as well.
Well, I think they might already be on the app because that was from not your Thanksgiving or Christmas recipes, but the main universal base mix recipes. So they are on the app, which I'm going to be
If
posting.
that's on the app, then that has all the recipes.
It has all the recipes.
Okay, great. Is there any other last minute questions? I know it's starting to be a long time here.
Yeah, at the very beginning we asked people if they had questions for the chef. And one of them was, you've already answered, recipe cards are included. And one of them had to do with how much carbs are in
Sweetenings?
Sweetenings or something.
The sweetenings are pretty much all sugar.
So he's gonna.
So,
it's not a diet. It's not a diet product.
It's all sugar, so it's carbs.
Okay, but we do have nutrition facts. And where can we find those?
I don't know if they're quite online yet, but we have them in electronic form. We certainly can send them to you if you want them. Let us know in the group if you want those nutrition facts. We can send them to you, and we want to get those posted somewhere public really, really soon.
Okay, so let's go ahead and give away our prize for tonight.
Okay, our 8-pack sweetenings. This is all 7 of our sweetenings with an extra chocolate, and the winner has been randomly generated. Oh no, this is earned.
Jeff confirmed they are on the online.
Okay, great. They're available.
The nutrition facts are online, probably on our website. Okay, so that person was the random name that was picked.
So this is random, or was this actually earned?
It was random.
This one is random.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's Lena Diaz. D-I-A-S, I think.
Congrats,
Lena Diaz.
Lena.
So congratulations. We're going to be sending this off to you.
We'll need your address. You can message us your address.
Don't forget. Make sure you send us your address.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us again, guys, for our Christmas cooking demo. I hope you learned something. All these recipes and more recipes will be available, and we certainly hope to continually be posting more and more. Thank you so much for joining us, and we're tuning out until next time.